bun and tailored jacket to the right of Derek Beaumont
with the dreadlocked man bun.
Yeah, there's a lot. He raised more questions than he answered for me. Did that particular gentleman?
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
What did you make of the game, Mark? Let's get back onto the field.
Again, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was quite as fun a game to watch as the night before, and that's mostly due to Leeds' inefficiencies in attack versus a side that aren't quite at the higher level that they need to be to break down the defences like Leeds is in this early season showing on a consistent basis. But you certainly saw some good things from both sides. Cuthbertson started off the bench, didn't he? But obviously the first 10 minutes was enough for Mullally. I think there was a couple of other Leeds players that could have got pulled at that stage when it was 10-0 was it to Lee, 10 or 12-0 in the early reckoning. But Cuthbertson came on and was absolutely outstanding, and it really was the 2015 Cuthbertson until he threw that ridiculous offload in the second half, and you started to think, shit, he's still got that weird mindset that is like his offloads are unmanageable by other teams, so he'll just do whatever he thinks he can do, and that reminded me about his fallibility that is shown in 2016. But there's certainly more to be excited about than concerned about with his play. And the other, and Carl Ablett in the first 15 minutes or so, I thought, well, this is Ablett that we've been watching. He's constantly out of position, missing tackles, giving away penalties, that sort of thing. But then actually, give the man credit, he was absolutely brilliant for the last hour of this game. Slightly over probably, the last 65 minutes or so. So, some good performers there. And for Lee, Josh Drinkwater still looks like...
everything's happening through him, isn't it?
He looks like a player who can create things. I mean, if he's putting tries on a plate that even Matty Dawson is making finishes of,
exactly.
I think he's obviously a really, really capable player and is setting things up for the men outside and around him. It's just how much direction do Lee lose when they go away from him is sort of thing. And Mitch Brown was the answer in some ways at fullback, but in other ways you wondered how much he joined the line enough, similar to the Cronulla game, weirdly speaking of Mitch Brown in that sense. So there's still a lot of questions around the League Club. One of them is how Jamie Acton was their strongest performing forward, but then, he did a Jamie Acton and did a little bit of cheeky grubbery and pulled back a guy at a 20 tap and got himself sin-binned. And you've got to take the rough from the smooth. At least there is going to be some smooth, it seems, because there was question marks about his ability to step up. He showed that he can play at Super League intensity, which was impressive.
Certainly he can. The thing I took from this was there was a lot of similarities between the game the week before for Lee, for me, in terms of a bright early start that actually was brighter than the one that they had at Castleford, in that they managed to get themselves out to about an 8-0 lead, 8-10-0, something like that. It must have been 8 because it was 8 at half time. But then fitness started to tell, and Leeds' muscle memory, if nothing else, really kind of got them back in front, and we saw that flip side of the Leeds Rhinos coin. We saw some brief moments of where things clicked and worked well for them in attack, but you still see these errors, you still see these mistakes. You see Liam Sutcliffe in one respect kicking out on the full, and then he goes and wins the game with a 40-20 and kind of does that, fulfills that Kevin Sinfield role that they were crying out for someone for so much of last season and last week, in fact, as well. The Jordan Lilly question is moot because he was injured this week anyway, so even if he'd been called back to Leeds, he wouldn't have been able to play. But some impressive individual performances. Talking about Lee, one person that we haven't mentioned so far is Elwar Pelissier. I thought he looked good at a dummy half, and obviously he works very hard as well. He's going to be someone who's going to be as important to Lee as anyone else this season in terms of what they get out of the pivot. If you're relying on Drinkwater to be your distributor, then you're certainly relying on Pelissier to get some scoops and get some moving and do a bit of distributing of his own, because it doesn't seem like they've settled on a partner for Drinkwater yet, and someone who can chime in at the line and offer them that kind of explosivity in attack. I think Leeds were good value for the win. They were workmanlike at times, but they ground out a result against Lee. And look, they just keep coming thick and fast for Lee. When we start talking about the previews in a few minutes, it's a tough road ahead for the Centurions, and hopefully they can get a win soon against someone and get themselves and open their account, because the longer that they go on being plucky and working hard for periods of time but not winning games, the harder that slump is going to be to arrest for them. So I hope they do it soon. But for me, Leeds were good value for the win.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so this game had more metres overall than the one the night before even. Also the best overall tackle success of any game so far this year. Leeds had a 3.8% better team tackle success though than Lee, and got more men into each tackle on average, suggesting a better control of the opponent's speed of play. Lee made ground a better average and had 2 more clean breaks, but the worst tackle success and 3 more penalties conceded acted as an equaliser. Mm-hmm. Leeds had a net of plus 16 positive to negative plays and a margin of plus 36 over Lee in this count, so they obviously took advantage of more positive plays than their opponents, in particular with the penalty goals that helped them win the game.
There you go.
And the smart thinking of Sutcliffe as one with the 40-20 yes, but just before half time to kick that drop goal as well. Yeah. Like you say, there was some sensible stuff combined with some really poor game management in between that, or certainly execution of kicks and creative. He lacks creativity,
but he's looking to step up and fill that game manager role, and let's give him some time to bed into that, because I think it's obvious that he's been they're trying to mould him in that Sinfield kind of.
But I just feel all 3 of the halves. Burrow not so much when he jumped into dummy half, but lacked creativity for Leeds, and it is a concern for them going forward for sure.
I wonder when we see Corey Aston. That's going to be
you've got to give these guys a chance, I think, if what's working at the moment isn't creating tries. But they did win this game, and they only just lost the week before, so I think maybe ride out this storm and see where they get to in terms of the attack.
Individually then, who stood out for us in this one?
Stevie Ward made 50 tackles without missing a single tackle.
And had a great game.
Carl Ablett with a try assist, 5 tackle bus, 141 metres. Jimmy the Kind Horse with a try, 5 tackle bus. Ryan Hull with a try in 136 metres. And finally, I think Leeds' man of the match for me was probably Adam Cuthbertson, and he had a try, 135 metres, 3 successful offloads.
Which of the Centurions caught your eye?
Well, Adam Higson ran really well in this game, 131 metres. Oa Plissier with 45 tackles, 12 of which were marker tackles. Harrison Hansen was a player that seemed to stand up a lot for the tough carries in this game, but also was distributing the ball a little bit for Lee. I think he played really well, and he hit 100 metres there. Jamie Acton with 121 metres, 3 successful offloads. And Mitch Brown with 1 try and 215 running metres. He really carried it into collisions, didn't he, on those first tackle carries? That was impressive. None of this dithering around and trying to juke a player or anything like that. He just hit the ball up strong and was able to make a few extra metres in contact and win quick play of the balls for the Centurions.
Yep, and that's what they're going to need moving forward. So that's last week's top flight games. What did that do for us in terms of predictions, Super Brew and Dream Team then, Mark?
Well, in the predictions, I was 3 out of 4 for the headline games from last week.
I think I was about 1, wasn't I?
You were 2 out of 4.
Okay.
You missed on... We both missed on Huddersfield Salford, and you missed on Cronulla.
And there you go, so you're a +1. I actually thought I might have... I forgot which way you went on... Huddersfield for a second.
Cumulatively, though, we're at 7 out of 10 for me and 6 out of 10 for you, so it's still very close in the early stages.
+1 early doors. Tell us about Super Brew.
Well, after the 2 round 11 games, Super Brew handed out the first yellow cap of the season, and that's been taken by Scoots McKenzie. Close behind her, but a whole 1.5 points ahead of the rest of the chasing pack, was her sister Helen.
They get themselves down to Bill Hills and start putting some bets on these ladies, don't they?
There you go. And in the Dream Team, Liam Reddington, talking about someone who knows a bit about a rugby league bet, Liam Reddington with a strong starting team that planned entirely around this part round of games, shows he's the cleverest Dream Team player around again. So he takes an early lead in the standings, and I expect him to not be ousted from the leader's spot for the rest of the year now.
There you go. And despite their disparaging words about his associations with rugby league, Owen Hughes got in touch with some words of encouragement for the ladies in his life.
He said, check out our Helen and our Sarah in Super Brew. Don't know whether to be proud or humiliated. Both, I guess.
Oh, nothing but pride. Nothing but pride. There's no humiliation going on there. Right. That's the World Cup Series and Round 11 of Super League taken care of. Let's take a look now at some results from elsewhere in the world of rugby league. Okay, other results then, Mark. It was round 3 of the championship this weekend. Toulouse were 56 points to 2 winners over the Dewsbury Rams. Batley were defeated at home 6 points to 32 by Fev Rovers. Halifax got a big win over Sheffield Eagles, 42 points to 16. Oldham came away with a very creditable in defeat to the London Broncos. It was 18-20 to the visiting London side, Mark. And Ian Gatwood got in touch for us.
He said, on the positive side, if we can carry some away victories, not playing well, then that's a bonus. On the negative side, rather like the Swinton game, we just did not perform well at all. And again, lucky to come away with a win. Williams with a get-out-of-jail card try and Oldham missing a penalty, practically in front of the post when the ball hit the upright in the last 5 minutes was the saviour. Again, drive home, relieved. It's a bit shabby away wins that London have taken away, but they are wins.
Yeah, wins are wins, and when they look back at the end of the season, it'll just be points in one column. It won't matter about how shabby they were. Rochdale were defeated at home by Hull KR, 28 points to 18. So again, credit to Rochdale for keeping to within two scores of a Super League side in all but name. Swinton were defeated at home, 35 points to 28 by my Bradford Bulls. And Alan Cale was kind enough to get in touch and give us some feedback on this one.
He says, the season starts here. The mighty Bradford Bulls overcome the odds and begin the march to glory. I reckon 14 more wins from the remaining 27 games will see the Bulls in the Championship again next year.
Yeah, he's probably right. Let's see if we can get them, though. That's the
14 wins, so that's 15 wins overall. So that's 30 points. That gives you 18 points.
Yeah, which will keep us in third from bottom. Next year, wouldn't it?
Based on last year, just about. And you're probably going to have a better points difference than whoever you're next to if you're tied on points, because you'll have had to win considerable amount more games to get to those points. I think the Championship, you might see, with like the start Rochdale's had, with the performances we've seen from Oldham and Swinton, I think you might see a few more wins handed around between the teams from 3rd place to 12th place. So I don't know if you'll even need 18 if people keep taking points off each other consistently. It'll be interesting to see. It
will, but Hull KR and Featherstone remains the only 100% sides in the division, and Dewsbury are the only winless side in 11th, with Bradford below them on minus 10 points. We're coming to get you. It was the first round of the League One Cup this weekend. Mark, Rochdale Mayfield hosted Barrow and were defeated 18 points to 46 by the Cumbrian League One outfit. Oxford won a close one, 30 points to 28 over Coventry.
Ollie Smith says, sadly I couldn't make it down to the game, but what a fantastic start to the season. Oxford dominated the game for 70 minutes, building a lead of 30 points to 10, scoring some great tries in the process. Coventry came back into the game in the last 10 minutes, causing a Tilsley thriller. Really happy with the draw versus London. Good chance to get to the semis. Bring on the Iron Men next week.
There you go. And it was Dewsbury B 12, Gloucestershire All Golds 48. Of course, I mean Hemel.
Yeah, and Alan Witts got in touch. He said, the lack of a pre-season game was evident as penalties and stupid errors meant the first 20 minutes was played within the All Golds 20 metres. After going 8-0 down, the All Golds finally used the ball and proved too powerful up the middle and ended up with some nice pieces of play for a comfortable win ahead of a tougher test in the Challenge Cup. And Lee All Golds RL also got in touch. He said, it was a tough opening quarter for the All Golds, competing one set. In 15 minutes, we thought we were in for a long afternoon. They woke up and ran in 48 unanswered points. A late try for Hemel made it 48-12, a good start, providing we didn't have any pre-season games. Roll on Workington in the next round. Come on, you All Golds.
There you go. Other results then saw Whitehaven defeated fairly heavily, 6 points to 22 in the Cumbrian derby against Workington. Hunslet lost out at home to Newcastle, 34 points to 10 in favour of the men from Tanweer. Keighley Cougars defeated Doncaster by 30 points to 22 down at Cougarland. South Wales Scorpions lost at home, 16 points to 24 against the London Scholars. And there was a point between York City Knights and the North Wales Crusaders, and it was the Welshmen who took the spoils in a 17 points to 16 victory over the Minstermen. That's the football team.
Yeah.
Over York. Wow. There you go. That's it. So that's all the results taken care of. I had a harkening back to my childhood in North Yorkshire for a second. Then that is the world of rugby league, well and truly covered. Let's take a look now into the future as we bring you our predictions for round 2 of Super League. Okay, so a full programme of